Overall, I still have it priced in. We're going to 25,000, right? And then eventually I still think we're going lower. The resulting lower move below 25 is probably when the overall stock market.
In today's video, Chief Market Strategist of InTheMoneyStocks.com Gareth Soloway tells us all about his latest analysis of the charts as well as his predictions and price targets for Bitcoin. Soloway shares his opinion regarding high inflation rates, the stock market, the crypto market, and the Fed.
So the first thing I want to discuss is jobless claims. Jobless claims, let's go over some macro data. We saw a drop in jobless claims. That's people filing for unemployment. It dropped 9,000 to 230,000. What that tells us is the job market is still solid. There's not a ton of people getting laid off. Now, granted, it's August. Generally, people, if they get laid off in August, they may not file for unemployment until September because they go on vacation with their families. But bottom line, again, is that we're not seeing a massive jump in unemployment. Jobs generally are still available out there. Now, durable goods came in this morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. They came in down 5.2%. That's not a good number, but a lot of that has to do with Boeing. Boeing losing a lot of orders. And again, Boeing is such a mammoth player in the durable goods orders industry that, again, that decline accounts for a lot of the decline in durable goods. So overall, I would just kind of say durable goods, not a big indicator for the market. The jobs data today being jobless claims coming in pretty solid. Nothing great about it, nothing amazing about it, but nothing horrible as well. All right, now we're going to get into the good stuff. I wanted to cover that, get it out of the way so we could focus on charts. We're going to get right into NVIDIA. Holy cow, what a move yesterday. Already $1 trillion stock coming up and ripping higher in the after hours, touching between $515 to $520 a share. Now, everyone out there is just saying, oh my goodness, NVIDIA is the most amazing company in the world. I'm here to say that yes, it is amazing, but let's take it with a grain of salt. I'm going to actually show you, so you don't get caught in the momentum, some interesting factors. So let's jump over to this chart right here. All right, so this is your chart on NVIDIA. This is the chart we looked at yesterday going into earnings. Remember, we talked about it, right? Where was your upside potential? It was up to this area. Your downside potential was down to this area. It's a beautiful channel, right? So again, we had our channel. We knew that our upside would be right here. Yesterday in the after hours, and let's go to it right now, guys. I want to show this to you, right? So if we go to your intraday chart, look at this. And let me just click on that. So this was your intraday or after hours high right up here. The price was approximately $515 to $520. Now, if we flip back to the daily chart, right, we go back to our channel. What is the high end of this channel? $520. All right, now interestingly enough, NVIDIA since then has pulled back to about $503 right here. So we are seeing that upper band hold true even in spite of these amazing earnings that NVIDIA has given us. All right, now again, does this mean it's a short? I mean, generally based on just looking at the charts and taking out emotion, yeah, it does. $520, $515 was a short. In fact, I had people commenting on Twitter yesterday saying that they took the short in the after hours at this level and they already made money and closed it out based on the pullback. So again, congrats to those people. Now, overall, do I think that this is sustainable? We're seeing a lot of stock upgrades, price target upgrades today by analysts. But remember, when you see analysts upgrading stocks, it's usually towards the end of a move, not necessarily the beginning. Remember, they are humans just like you and me. They get swelled with emotion. They see these numbers that, and again, listen, I don't want to take anything away from NVIDIA. They were great numbers, but you have to look at the macro. You have to look at the big picture of what NVIDIA is, what it's doing, and then again, just like Tesla in 2021, you're going to have other companies jumping at the heels to basically be competitors. So they're the only game in town right now. That will only last for 6 to 12 months. Within 6 to 12 months, competitors will be putting out chips that rival NVIDIA's chips. Their margins were incredible, 50+% margins on their goods overall, right? The problem is, when more competition comes in, we're going to see that change. We saw that change with Tesla, right? So Tesla, they were having amazing margins, but now in the last year, those margins have collapsed Again, this is because competitors, all the other competitors out there putting out EVs, trucks that are EV, all of this stuff, causing, again, the consumer to have more options. Then you get a price war, and that brings it down. So again, their margins are not sustainable over the longer term. Short term, sure. But again, based on the charts, this is a short-term top now. And again, in general, I'm going to look for a fade on it instead of a continued move up. All right, so that again is just giving us a little bit of a sense of what we're seeing on the charts right now. Now, I want to jump over to this screen. Let's talk a little history. If you're like me, you love history, heck, you'll find me watching the History Channel about different wars and different periods in history. I find that human nature, and this is for psychology reasons, usually human nature repeats. So something that people did in the BC period, right, or in Rome, in ancient Rome, the same sort of things happen today. This is why the tulip mania in the 1500s is so intriguing to me in terms of recent data or recent action in crypto or in other things. All right, what we're looking at here, check this out, guys. This is a chart, okay, this is a chart of Cisco Systems. Now, we've all heard of Cisco Systems, right? Cisco Systems, this is a chart from 1999 to 2000. So 1999 to 2000, Cisco Systems had this epic rally to the upside because the internet was unfolding. It was a new thing. It was going to change the world. And Cisco Systems, interestingly enough, ran from basically $12 to $15 right here to $80 in a straight line. And the reason this was the key was that everyone out there in the world was rushing to Cisco because they were the only game in town that was doing networking, that was building out the internet. All right, they were the only game in town back then. That was their only option. So essentially you had a scenario here where this was the NVIDIA of 2000, right? AI is going to change the world. I totally agree with that. But again, this was the internet back in 2000, and this was your only game in town. This is your chart of NVIDIA. Now, interesting couple tidbits here. Number one, if you look at the $15 level here to this run, all right, that's about a 6 or so multiple, right? It goes up about 6x. Well, guess what? Here we're down at $100, and now we're north of 500. We're already at a 5x multiple, right? We've gone up 5 times. So again, just keep in mind that this is the same thing. Now, what ended up happening to Cisco? Let's take a look at this, because I think this is a great case study of just why you want to be a little cautious about buying in this upper range, and again, potentially even thinking about a short. Well, if we go to our one chart here, and I'm going to flip this over here to a bigger chart, here's your Cisco chart in 2000, right? And again, an epic run. There's nothing to be taken away from this run, but look at what happened afterwards. All right, so Cisco ended up collapsing back down, partly because the internet bubble burst, right? And there was an economic recession, but also because competitors started to put out the same sort of thing. The networking became, something that everyone rushed into. The reason companies go into these things is because the margins are so good. So NVIDIA's margins are up here. Every other semiconductor right now, including ones in China, all over the world, are saying, oh my God, 50+% margins, we've all got to produce these chips. What's going to happen when they all do? There's going to be a glut. It's going to force price down. So believe it or not, it would not shock me to see that the level that NVIDIA is at right now, it could end up being, if we look back in a year or two, the highest point on NVIDIA, as good as it gets, because competitors will, and the market prices in ahead of time. If it's 12 months out when these chips are going to come on the market will start pricing that competition in earlier. I do want to go over the Bitcoin chart, so let's take a quick look at Bitcoin. Is basically just hovering. We did get a little bit of a bounce yesterday, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Here you could see, again, we fell over, and then we got a little bounce yesterday. One of the things I noticed, and this is kind of fascinating, just a little facts, I love throwing these little facts at you guys, is that when NVIDIA earnings came out, Bitcoin was trading at the high level of this candle. As soon as NVIDIA earnings came out and NVIDIA started to go up, we saw Bitcoin selling in the after hours, or it wasn't after hours for Bitcoin. The thought process here is interesting. What it tells me is that you have investors that are in Bitcoin that are also chasing NVIDIA. So when Bitcoin's hot, they pull money from NVIDIA, they go into Bitcoin, and then they go back. And it's basically what it's known as a momentum trade. There's momentum investors chasing these things. And that's kind of weird because Overall, I'll tell you honestly, I blew up my account multiple times early in my career doing just that, trying to chase moves. And usually by the time I would get in, it was the end of the move. So again, we'll have to see if that's the case for NVIDIA, but just be aware of that, is that you don't want to be a chaser. In investing, you need to be a leader. And I don't mean you literally have to lead people, but you have to be one of the first in on the trade. When the trade is the scariest, that is your time to step up and get in. I know it's hard to do, trust me. I did a lot of training in my part to get me to that point, but that's when you want to step in. And you want to exit when everyone else is euphoric, right? When everyone else is saying this is the greatest, when you're seeing price targets getting raised, new all-time highs, oh my God, it's going to go up to here, here, here. You have to say to yourself, let me look at this euphoria, let me be a level-headed, logical trader or investor, and let me exit. And that's really the key. And momentum chasing is not a good thing. In terms of Bitcoin, there's really nothing new here. You could head back to test this level here. That would be a classic retrace, so that is always a possibility. But overall, I still have it priced in. We're going to 25,000, right? And then eventually, I still think we're going lower. The resulting lower move below 25 is probably when the overall stock market starts to collapse lower.